In this Get Pregnant Now Quickie, we're going to be talking about iodine in your thyroid and how you could actually be getting too little or too much of this fertility nutrient. Welcome to the Finally Get Pregnant Naturally podcast, the podcast helping women identify the real reasons you haven't conceived or stayed pregnant so you and your partner can finally grow the family of your dreams. I'm your host, Dr. Katie Wood. Let's dive in, shall we? By the end of this episode, you'll know why iodine is essential for thyroid function, ovulation, and early pregnancy, hidden reasons for iron deficiency and where to find it naturally, and when having too much iodine can actually backfire, and precautions to take if you have thyroid disease. So why does iodine matter for fertility? Iodine is the critical ingredient that your thyroid needs to make thyroid hormones. And we discussed this in Tuesday's episode, but our thyroid helps regulate ovulation, support progesterone levels, ensure proper embryo development. It reduces miscarriage risk and it supports baby's brain and nervous system. So even having a subtle thyroid dysfunction, which most doctors will dismiss, this can actually delay conception or increase your risk for miscarriage. So it's very unnecessary. This is something that we want to be looking at right now. So why are some people deficient in iodine? First of all, we have soil depletion. Our soil is very devoid of nutrients and minerals compared to what our parents or our ancestors had access to. And that is due to a lot of the farming practices these days. Having exposure to competing halogens like fluoride, chlorine, and bromide, potentially in your drinking water or elsewhere, these can actually block iodine absorption. And then a lot of times, lower seafood intake. Not many people are incorporating quality seafood into their diet on the regular. So this could mean that many women trying to conceive actually may not have enough iodine to support optimal thyroid function. So how can we naturally support our iodine levels? Some of the best food sources include sea vegetables like kelp, dulse, or nori, wild caught seafood. Now, take note of that. Wild caught. We want to avoid farm raised seafood. So look at the packaging when you're purchasing seafood in the grocery store. So this can include cod, tuna, shrimp, salmon, things like that. High quality grass-fed dairy like milk and yogurt. Eggs, especially pasture-raised eggs, are going to be higher in iodine. And a single swap like adding sea vegetables to a stew or a soup that you're making can go a long way. So here are some of the top hidden and surprising sources of iodine that could actually be putting women into a position of having too much iodine, especially if they are supplementing with iodine. So number one, iodized salts. Okay, this is processed salt that they are adding iodine to because of iodine deficiency. But the problem with this salt is very processed. It is devoid of other minerals, and it's just all around. I do not recommend using iodized salt. If you are on a multivitamin or a prenatal vitamin, most of them contain about 150 micrograms of iodine, which is the daily recommended amount. If it's included in any of your supplements, likely you're already hitting the recommended daily value. Certain supplements that can be advertised as being thyroid support supplements, these can contain things like kelp or even iodine drops, and this can push your intake too high. If you're consuming seaweed snacks or sushi, things like kelp, kombu, and wakame are extremely concentrated. Even one serving of kelp can contain several thousand micrograms, far above safe limits. Then we have dairy products because iodized disinfectants are used in the milk processing. So iodine can end up in milk, yogurt, and cheese, eggs, chickens that are fed iodine fortified feed. Eggs supply more iodine than many people realize. If you are consuming processed bread, some brands still use iodate dough conditioners. Water purifiers, if it utilizes iodine drops or tablets. This can often be used for travel or emergency kits. Makeup. This is probably a surprising one. Some makeup products can actually contain some iodine containing ingredients. Skin disinfectants like betadine or iodine. If you are applying this to a large surface area, it can be absorbed into the bloodstream. If you are using contrast agents for CT scans or radiology, this can cause a temporary spike in iodine levels. And then if you're consuming cod or saltwater fish, particularly cod, this can be very naturally rich in iodine. So why does this matter for fertility? Excess iodine, as in having too much, can actually trigger or worsen Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune thyroid condition. It can increase thyroid antibodies. It can cause swings. So basically, when you're going to and from hypo and hyperthyroid states, it can disrupt your ovulation and thus your progesterone, and it can increase the risk of early miscarriage. So if you think about it, and this is just like a hypothetical scenario, if you're a woman who is on a prenatal and maybe you're aware that iodine is something that's necessary for thyroid, but you're not fully aware of the full iodine picture, so then you're taking a thyroid supportive supplement that maybe includes kelp, you're getting additional iodine from that, and let's just say you like seaweed snacks. Like you are just overloading yourself with iodine and you don't even realize it. And then just add on if you're eating eggs, if you have any makeup that contains iodine. So it is possible for you to be overloading your thyroid all the while you're thinking that you're supporting your thyroid and your hormones. So this is just like a little reality check. If you are already taking a prenatal, eating dairy or eggs, having sushi or seaweed snacks, taking any thyroid or adrenal support supplements, you do not need to be adding any more iodine unless you are aware of your iodine levels and are working with a practitioner. Iodine deficiency is a real thing, but iodine excess is actually becoming even more common in women trying to conceive. So, some important precautions to keep in mind, especially for anyone with a thyroid condition. Iodine is very needed and necessary, but it is powerful, and too much can be just as problematic as too little. So, if you have anything like Hashimoto's thyroiditis, Graves' disease, a history of thyroid nodules, or high thyroid antibodies, you really do not want to be supplementing with additional iodine without professional guidance because large doses can trigger thyroid flares, attack the thyroid gland, or worsen your symptoms. And also, if you do decide to start iodine, you do want to make sure that you're getting adequate selenium because your thyroid needs selenium to process iodine safely. And that's the beauty of whole food. So I know that we talked about seafood. Seafood contains iodine, but it is also containing selenium. So these vitamins and minerals that you're getting in whole foods are working synergistically together versus sometimes when you're supplementing, you're missing that synergy effect there. And something also to consider is iodine testing is not routine in standard labs. And actually, it's a little hard to assess your iodine levels. Urinary iodine tests can be an option to assess your status, and you want to work with a fertility expert to get this right. So, some things that you can try today: aim for 1 to 2 servings of iodine rich foods this week. Check the salt that you have in your home. Are you using iodized salt? If you are, I would highly recommend replacing that with a high quality sea salt. And you want to filter your water. to reduce your exposure to fluoride and chlorine whenever possible. And just remembering that these small shifts make such a huge difference. So here's what we covered today. Iodine is essential for thyroid hormones, which is important for ovulation, progesterone, and early embryo development. Deficiency can be common, but so can having too much iodine and the potential risks. And some thyroid conditions require extra caution and expert care with iodine supplementation because your thyroid is one of your most important glands for fertility, and nourishing it is going to nourish your fertility and your future baby and pregnancy. So here's to having a healthy thyroid, strong ovulation, and the dream you're working towards every day. I want to thank you so much for listening. I hope that you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you on our next episode, released every Tuesday and Thursday. Are you ready to finally discover why you haven't been able to get or stay pregnant? The Ultimate Fertility Blueprint is a quick, insightful quiz designed to reveal your overall capacity to conceive and help you discover potential root causes and areas to address to improve your fertility so you can finally get and stay pregnant. You'll find the link in the show notes. As a quick reminder and disclaimer, this podcast is for educational purposes only and is not a substitute for medical advice. Always consult your doctor or healthcare provider before starting any new supplement or protocol, especially if you're actively trying to conceive or undergoing treatment.